Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful week. There's some drilling going on in the hallway, hoping that doesn't get too annoying. As we're coming up on a year of COVID, I've been finding myself just feeling really heavy, overwhelmed. It's been a long, hard year, and I know that some people are thriving through this, and that's great. Some people are struggling. Right off the bat, I was doing okay, but I know a lot of other people weren't. And as we near this 1-year anniversary, I've been struggling. I think for me, I'm a pretty intense empath, and I'm really feeling the weight of the kids that I teach. They are struggling hard. They're getting ping-ponged between like having to do online schooling from home and then going back to school. They're struggling. When COVID first became a thing and we were kind of under lockdown, my roommate at the time got really annoyed because a lot of people were instantly like, okay, you do 5 things today and try to learn something new and do all of these fancy new things and just make the most of your time. And there was a big focus on self-care, which hasn't really gone away. And she was just like, I can't do all these things. Why are people pushing all of this stuff? I didn't really understand at that time because I was doing okay. But now, as I'm just continuing to feel the heaviness of it and really being dragged down by it myself, I'm finding myself being really dragged down by the self-care people. People who are like, well, self-care is bubble baths and manicures and pedicures and face masks. And as an empath with fibromyalgia, that's not necessarily self-care for me. I'm not naturally a girly girl. I don't enjoy doing my nails. I don't enjoy doing stuff like that necessarily. I do like baths. But in general, I'm just like, that's not me. That's work for me. That's not something that is self-care. So I kind of sat back this week and I just took a look at the things that I am doing that I'm calling self-care in order to move forward. And I don't necessarily have to thrive, but just survive day by day, week by week with fibromyalgia in this pandemic. So here are a couple of the things that I'm doing, and I would love to know what you're doing. The number one thing that I'm doing is I'm making sure that every single night before I go to bed, I am snuggling with my cat. She is 15 years old and just a little cuddle bug. She honestly woke me up in the middle of the night last night because she missed me and wanted to snuggle. So for me, just snuggling up with a furry, warm creature, there's something very soothing about it. I joke that she's my therapy cat, but she really is. She really is. She's helped me a lot. I don't know what I would do if I was trying to get through this pandemic without her, because she is everything. She helps me out so much. The second thing that I've been really trying to do is give myself grace. What I mean by that is allowing myself to have naps when I need them and be okay with it. Things have been, a little trying, and I'm very blessed with a lot of students, but I basically work for 5 hours every night without a break. And when you're going from teaching advanced classical vocals to beginner piano, and then, advanced piano, and then beginner vocals, and you're ping-ponging back and forth, and you have adult students and beginner students and teenage students and, preteens, and you're matching different energies, and some of the kids are having breakdowns, and, there's a lot. It's exhausting. It's mentally and even physically exhausting. I've had to write myself little notes that just say stand up in between lessons, just that little reminder to kind of save my body a little bit. But also, I actually start my day a little bit earlier so that I can have just a 20-minute lie down before I have to teach, because going into that, I need just that rest time. If I'm working, if I'm doing something else, if I'm running errands or something, that's gonna be hard for me. So on teaching days, I kind of have a very specific routine, and I don't really stray too far from that because I need to keep my energy up for those kids. That for me is self-care. Allowing myself that nap and structuring my day around it is important. Of course, there's the usual, making sure you're getting enough water in and trying to eat right. But also within that, again, we're gonna use the word grace. Just, you know what, if I want to order some Indian food or gluten-free pizza, I'm gonna do that. I try to limit myself to once a week so that it's a treat and I'm not spending all of my money that I don't have. But that is a little bit of self-care for me too. Just allowing myself one night off of focused, healthy eating and not having to cook. It's really nice, and I look forward to it. I don't work on Thursdays usually, so for me, allowing myself to just stay on the couch all day and not really do much else on a Thursday that's self-care for me as well. I'm allowed that time if I need that time. And I think that that's important. So all this week, I kept saying to myself, I should get up and go and have a bath. because I know that will serve my body well. But at the same time, I was like, well, that's not what I want to do right now. I just want to lay on the couch and cuddle my cat. So that's what I did. But I'm feeling this pressure from people to be like, go paint your nails, go have a bath, you know? And that's not it. Self-care, I think, means taking care of you the way that you need to. And that's going to look different for everybody else. That's going to look different for everybody. So you need to figure out what serves you the best. And that can change, that can ebb and flow. One of the things that I've been doing is just keeping a journal handy in my living room. And I write down the night before the things that I want to try to accomplish the next day. And I go into that full of grace, because if I don't accomplish them, that is absolutely fine. And I circle them and I put them, you know, maybe on the next day or the day after. It's fine if they don't necessarily get done, but there are certain things that I do need to accomplish and get done on a weekly basis. And I do need to make sure that I'm taking care of those things. So just to have them written down for me is so important. It's so important. And I love actually like physically crossing something off of a list. It makes me feel just so good. One thing that was really hard was I was getting really bogged down with doom scrolling. I think you guys know what I mean. And there's a lot of just negative news out there, and you know, a lot of it's factual, but then you also come across people who are conspiracy theorists and the government is always wrong. And I'm not going to get political on my page, but like super pro-Trumpers, you know, like really extreme right-wingists. Don't get me wrong, I have Republican friends, okay? Don't get me wrong, but there's a line. And I've had to take these people out of my life. Not my friends that are Republicans, but the ones that are all about the conspiracy theories. And not even that, going to the point where they're posting things on their Facebook pages that are racist and they're not even realizing it, and they're joking around about it, or anti-LGBTQ plus, but it's, yeah, I can't align myself with people like that, because it hurts me. Again, as an empath, it hurts me and it stays with me. I have friends that are in the queer community, and I have a lot of friends that aren't Caucasian, you know? I mean, my boyfriend is brown. He always jokes that he's brown. I mean, he's Indian, but I can't align myself with these people. But at the same time, I couldn't stop myself from going to their page and looking, and that was on me, but I had to just take it out of the equation. You know, it almost ended up being like some sort of weird drug where I just kept being drawn to it, and it hurt me. And then I would just not be okay. I wouldn't be okay. And I had to take myself out of that equation by taking them out of the equation, if that makes sense. That for me is also self-care. Making sure that you're aligning yourself with people who are respectful. I'll put it that way. You don't necessarily have to have the same beliefs as other people, but if you comment on someone's Facebook or Instagram post or something, and then they or their friends immediately just attack you and start calling you names, that's not okay. And that's not something that I want to be a part of. So I had to take myself out of a couple of equations this last week. And that was really hard for me because, again, empath, but at the same time, it was something that I really needed. And I'm feeling a lot better as a result of that. That for me is also self-care. Just taking care of you, taking care of my heart and my mind as best as I can. I'm sure this is going to be a continuing conversation about self-care because it's going to ebb and flow as we move forward. But I would love to know what your self-care routine looks like right now. And hey, if it's baths every night, good, that's great, good for you. If you're face masking every night, good for you, that's great. It's just not something that's working for me at this time. For me, like the number one thing is snuggles with my cat. That's everything. And I've found that as I've allowed myself naps and more snuggles, I haven't been dealing with massive fibro flares even when my emotions are kind of running a little bit high. So it's working, I think it's working. Anyways, I hope you guys have fantastic day, a fantastic week. I hope you're getting through. It's a heavy season for a lot of us, and I just want you guys to know that you're not alone. I'd love to hear from you. Please drop a comment below, and I'll see you next week.